Nation, welcome back to our lovely live streams, of which we've been absent for 3 weeks. So it's been a month.
Eternity.
Nearly. Yeah, since we assembled in the congregation of whiskey. And it's been too long, quite frankly. I mean, trip was good. Time with family was good. Time in warm weather was good. But I did miss this. I missed it a lot. Brian, what have you been up to with all your free time?
I've had no free time, man. No free time. So
yeah, it's non-existent. Once you have one kid, you're out of free time. Then you have more kids, and you're just spending your old age. I feel like you're just using it early.
I can't. We're out of Christmas. I can't. I tried to grab.
You can't do a Christmas hoodie.
I can't.
I mean, we're not
we
even
already
to
put our
New
Christmas
Year's
decorations
yet.
away.
Wow. Most people I know would wait to put their Christmas decorations away until after New Year's. You're pretty early. Our tree is still up. So
no, dude, it's as soon as possible. That stuff is down. But you have to understand, as soon as Halloween, the minute Halloween is over, my Christmas music is on and I've got Christmas decorations going out. I am in the spirit. I've worked a long time in retail, and I know that when you work in retail, Christmas is non-existent, right? Because everyone's mean and the holiday is busy. And so I've tried to make it a point to elongate the season as long as possible. And that means that when it's done, it's done. So I started incredibly early, but I wrap it up as soon as possible. I'm cracking a local Falls City beer, Street Lamp Porter tonight. I need a drink, and that's what my drink of choice.
You're doing? Didn't you tell me that you've already tasted 6 different whiskeys today?
Yeah, before dinner, I was having to do some tasting notes quickly for a couple of peaks. So I have 3 Ezra Brooks cast strengths and 3 Rebel cast strengths that I had to do tasting notes on. So I did all those. I think I messaged you 2.5 hours ago when I was kind of in the middle of doing that. And then I had to get some dinner, and now I'm ready for the show.
I hope so. I mean, folks, we've been teasing folks for too long. And granted, I didn't say we were going to do it, and then we didn't do it. We just went radio silent for better part of a month. But those picks, those Ezra Rebel picks, are those Bourbon Pursuit stuff? Is that what those are for? Or?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to talk about it feeling like you cheating on me, but I actually don't feel like that. I feel like we have an open relationship, and we both signed on to that.
Well, the interesting thing about it too is it's honestly less about Bourbon Pursuit. It's Shem from Keg and Bottle. He had asked me if he could send me stuff to either do photos or do tasting notes for, or videos if I wanted to do videos on them too. And
nice.
I usually don't have a lot of time to do videos. I've got some stuff that I could down the line, but it's usually a matter of shooting some photos, getting out some tasting notes. And he's like, oh yeah, our the people in the store and for the pages for those people just really appreciate having that there. And so the Bourbon Pursuit guys are like, dude, I don't even have these bottles. I have no idea what you're talking about. I think they're appreciative to have a store to go through, but I don't. I mean, to them, it's just kind of I know they like doing the picks, but after that, I think it's kind of whiskey is whiskey. It's still a little different for you and I.
True.
And doing a whole bunch of Ezra and Rebels wouldn't be my first priority.
No.
My first pick of the crop, but there's one of each that I like. So there's that.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too. Is it'd be hard to find one. I wouldn't feel if we went on a pick, we could take one barrel, and I wouldn't feel the odds were good that we'd be able to find a barrel that we'd be proud of. Just because I know, the age statements that they're releasing on those, and I know the profile. Yeah. Anyway,
it's just a bummer.
We're already geeking out pretty hard here.
They do the same format that a couple of other people do, which is the 3 and done, right? It's here's 3, and then you're done. And I understand that, but the problem with that is, they usually like, well, we've done the work for you. We've just picked 3 different profiles.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
And that's, I've been to Lux a couple of times for picks, and that's what they've said. They're like, we've picked 3 different profiles for you. And I'm like, but what if I wanted 3 different versions of one profile? You done effed me up, dude. Like, I can't tell the quality anymore now if they're all different from one another.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Is what it is. Anyway, what yeah, I can't even ask you what you're drinking because you're getting ready to. What are you going to drink?
No. I just took the tiniest nip of some light whiskey before, but I pour a little bit here. My warm-up sip of Four Roses single barrel strength OBSV. This is a 9-year, 5-month pick from Discount Liquor here locally. This is their most recent pick, and I was very pleased. I opened it up before my trip, and it hit the mark. I didn't really take notes. I just had it one evening, so this is my second visit at the well.
I want to hear about it.
At the fruit tree. I'll tell you.
We have a little side chat with some folks, and so I feel like 35% of the conversation is Four Roses. So,
already in our chat, or what are you talking about? Oh, you mean
our chat?
Our chat.
Our chat.
Yeah. Basically Slack, but not. So, problem is, I just ate a maple cookie. So, pro tip, throw this out here. We didn't pitch high noon today. That's fine. Brian said that's a summertime only thing. We'll see if it makes a comeback. But what I will pitch is the seasonal fall maple buttercream frosting cookies at Aldi. They come in an orange box. I might have to go get it at some point. But Brian, you would love these. This seems right up your alley. They're shaped like maple leaves, more or less. I don't know if they're anatomically correct. We're getting spammed. We don't even have Tom here. Eric, can you boke whoever's posting weird URLs? Anyway, shaped like maple leaves.
Should I put the user in timeout?
Mapley cookie with like a maple buttercream. So good. Ridiculously good. Oh, man, Fred's recovering from surgery. I hope you're okay, Fred. Hopefully it was like a routine procedure type deal. If not, that sucks. And let us know if there's anything we can do for you. That's bummer. That's not great at all. Anyway, I'll go get the box later when I inevitably have to pee. Show you guys. So this Four Roses, I feel like I need to sit with it since I'm trying to wash out that right now. Looks like Coots is having some Spaniard, which, I mean, we'll see. Like, tonight's a busy night in the YouTube live stream world, but we have now released our 8-year Dance and Go MGP pick to our Patreon supporters. It went out to our bottom tier today, so they have their shot at it, enjoying it. I ordered the stuff for the Wisconsin members of Neat Nathan a couple of days ago, so that's going to arrive to Brian's house, and I'm going to go pick up cases and cases of whiskey in January.
Right here, right behind my light, I have 1, 2, 3.
We have 3 of the Spaniard almost.
I have 3 boxes of whiskey. Not all of that is yours. Some of it is mine, and some of it's another thing of mine. But there are still 5 boxes marked fragile right in this stack over here, and we're only going to add to it.
Yeah, but we'll get it out of there. And it's for a lot of people. It's not just me. I mean, I have a problem, but not that kind of problem. Fred said it was just a hernia, so that's good. Glad to hear that. I'll likely live stream while I'm getting my vasectomy, and I'm targeting April so I can watch all of the Masters. I'm just like,
you just say you were going to live stream your vasectomy?
I didn't say I was going to show you what happened. I said I was going to live stream from my vasectomy. I feel like one of my goals for 2021 is to really create some unique kinds of content, whiskey adjacent content. And I feel like a vasectomy live stream would be.
Yeah, I mean, everyone here, let me know if you would unsubscribe if you saw a live stream of vasectomy from Drew. Please let me know. Go ahead and leave the what's that red?
Who wouldn't want to see that?
Everyone, go ahead and leave the eggplant emoji if you would unsubscribe. If you would unsubscribe from seeing a live stream of vasectomy. So I'll go ahead and paste it right here. Nope, wrong fruit. We're gonna get there.
Jason Holbrook dropped $5 on the super chat. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Aldi is cool. He says, but break some bottle knowledge, some badass on bottle knowledge. We will do that undoubtedly. The live streams, like when Brian does a video, when I do a video, we produce them. We get right in there. I mean, there's no beating around the bush. But what we're doing today is making up for having not chatted much for 3 weeks.
Oh, please highlight Jason's comment. That should be a new glass design.
No,
we keep talking about balls. I'm out.
Yeah, we'll keep golf out of it then this week. All right, let's talk about Four Roses.
If we keep talking about balls, I'm out. Swing Nation.
Yeah, right. Nice.
It's a perfect Swing Nation.
Good. It's really good. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I hope you're taking notes.
I taste this.
I'll never go back to the live streams to find them.
Yeah, true. I'm sure Tom would remember. Faithful. Tom's got family game night, so he's not with us tonight, but he'll be back. While I taste this, Brian, give us a little preview or like post view of your Four Roses 20-year tasting and video, and then people go watch this later. Like we can put it in the show notes, or Eric can get us the URL so you guys can watch this later. But Brian, give us a little bit of content from that to kind of tickle the fancy.
Okay, so we're talking about this guy.
One.
So
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Early in December, Four Roses released these for their opening of their new visitor center in Lawrenceburg, which is just across the parking lot from where the original was. If you're familiar with that, they put out a slew of 25 different 20-year single barrels. OBSV recipes, tier 3s from two different runs. Again, OBSV 20 years. They're all like 55 to 60% alcohol. If you like old whiskey, then heads up. Or if you like Four Roses, then heads up. If you like the combination of those two, then it's going to be a perfect bottle. But anyway, it's got a lot of the flavors that I dig in roses, but then a bunch of the characteristics that you associate with older whiskey that you don't often associate with roses. Stuff that you're like, oh, interesting. Like it forgoes sweetness in favor of more oak. That's more of something that you'd get out of, whatever else older whiskey, Michter's, or not even King. King carries a lot of specific flavors, but maybe in the the rhetoric's probably not the right. What are other things that go along with the rhetorics and stuff to get into the old age? I think you know what I'm talking about. The rhetorics are all
but
spicy
because I haven't had.
But there's the rhetorics are like spicy, and then there's the blood oaths. I don't know.
No, that's not an orphan barrel.
Eric, yes, that's right. It's a very exciting review. I mentioned it was an exciting review. I mentioned that tasting was exciting. Exciting is apparently my key word.
Barterhouse, Old Blowhard.
Yeah, maybe Barterhouse too. Man, it has been a couple years since I had Barterhouse, and I like that pour. That would have been a good one to have brought out if I had it. Fred, we were just talking about that before the show. I definitely received them at work sometime this week and have no clue where they went. So
which he will find them. Don't like that sound like we don't care. Mine are waiting. No. I remember Fred has my work address too. So Fred, mine are waiting for me at work. I just haven't been there in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so
you've been away from work. Tomorrow. Mine, I remember seeing them going, oh, this is great, because Fred and I were talking about it. And I'm like, well, nothing showed up at my house. They showed up work, and I was like, oh, that's right. I gave him a work address. I just don't quite. Before the stream, it was really chaotic, and I don't see them immediately close to me. And it's been a chaotic week at work because of Christmas week, and I work in the roastery. So Christmas and New Year week are very busy for me in the roastery. So I'll have to get back on game when I get back. But anyway,
yep.
Yeah, the Four Roses was an exciting product. That was one of like, I haven't done a stream with you since tons of stuff released in Kentucky. So that was one of several things.
All right. So notes on the Four Roses. It's creamy, really, 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 really creamy, which I'm obviously a big fan of that. And then I get strawberry with brown sugar. It doesn't really go deeper than brown sugar. The oak presence is there, but it's not like a deep, rich pirate bottle Elijah Craig kind of oaky richness. It is a little bit dry on the finish in spite of the really syrupy upfrontness. Nice balanced sweetness. Not as spicy as you'd think for being a B. It's more fruit forward, which sometimes a high rye can it seems like quickly shift over into fruitiness for me. Not terribly complex, but just like a delicious, good barrel proof Four Roses. Not hot at all. I mean, just really easy drinking. Nice way to start the evening for sure. Getting warmed up. I got another super chat. So y'all, thank you for the super chats. Appreciate it. First, happy holidays. Are you happy to be home with your whiskey collection? I was thrilled. We were gone for 3 weeks, so we had neighbors across the street just check on the house a couple of times. I was nervous. I get a little nervous that somebody's going to watch the channel and deduce where I live and steal all my whiskey. So yeah, and also I just drank a lot of the same stuff while I was gone. Like for the first 10 days I was down, it was pretty much just the whiskey I brought with me, which was just a Knob Creek single barrel and Evan Williams single barrel, which the Evan Williams single barrel was predominantly for my brother-in-law. So I basically drank a whole Knob Creek single barrel by myself. I did visit my brother. You guys, if you haven't, you can see the videos I recorded with him. So I got to taste a couple things there with him, and that was fun. And then when I spent the last 9 days or so at my parents' house instead of my in-laws, I then had access to my dad's shelf, which you guys probably saw that video, which is good whiskey. It's just nothing like crazy good. So I got really familiar with a lot of value pours. And I was thrilled to be home. So the first thing I pulled, I just hadn't had much weeded while I was gone. So that Maker's 46 just sounded good to me last night. And then I have really wanted to try the Knob 15, and I passed on it. And when I saw it this year down in Texas, actually, because I didn't see it in Milwaukee, I was like, I'm going to get it. And I've been on such a knob kick. I plan to do a what's the deal with Knob Creek video, but I felt like it would be a good end of the year bottle pop and cliff note kind of review here, which we should do in short order because there's a lot to get to tonight. This stuff, our blind with Porkins, who I have not seen yet. Have you seen Porkins in the chat? Is he even around?
I have not.
Man, that would be a bummer for him to miss. Of course he'll go.
I mean, and to be honest, if Porkins isn't here, we might historically, given some of the answers and stuff, we might not do his full blind if he's not here.
What are you talking about?
Doesn't he always provide like a whole bunch of information about it? I don't know what else there.
Well, so we have a key. He sent us a key, and he says big baller questions. So I don't know what that means because I don't even know. Oh, he's here. Good. He's here. I feel way better. Dude, I would have felt so bad if you missed. Again, big thanks to Porkins. Both he and Fred have been, massive contributors in terms of samples, blinds. So major hats off to those guys and many other people. Of course, Kyle and Eric, notwithstanding, good friends. I feel like I need to shout out everybody. Anytime I shout out one person, I love you all equally, like my children, which you're not.
How about we give a shout out to YouTube getting rid of the numbers next to dislikes? Let's give a big thumbs up to that.
Did they really? Is that a thing?
It's only private information now. Now you can dislike it, but they only show you what's next to the likes. It's so much more positive.
Yeah, I don't tend to get good like ratios either. Like there's definitely a swath of the bourbon community that doesn't enjoy kind of what we do, which is fine. That's just fine. It's not for them. But so we get a decent amount of thumbs downs at times. Porkins says, have nowhere to be but here. Snow in Seattle has trapped me in my house. Dude, ouch. Yeah, I heard the system that blew through there. The whole West Coast, particularly if you're off the coast at all. If you're in Seattle, I mean, you guys don't get that much snow in Seattle, do you? Anyway, so you're having that beer.
Just moved there, but they're still probably because of the weather in Seattle.
Sorry, you're breaking up. Crap. What was that, Brian?
I said my brother-in-law, they moved to Seattle area, just outside of it, Everett. But they couldn't make it back. They were in Columbus for the holidays, and they're currently still in Columbus because their flight got canceled.
Oh, wow.
And I said presumably for the weather.
Yeah. And also, like, with the Omicron spread rates, crazy contagious. A lot of people out with the COVID or exposed to the COVID. So I know that that's also playing a role. All right. Brian, you said you were having that beer. What else are you drinking?
I am drinking our 8-year Dancing Goat.
Nice.
Bourbon.
Did you have just a little bit left of your sample, or did you already get a bottle?
I got that much left in my sample.
Oh, good grief! Nice. I killed mine quickly when I like
because I think that's what he sent us most recently, right?
He did send it to us when he gave us the Spaniard because I asked him for a sample of that, so we could taste it.
So I haven't had a whole lot of it.
Okay, as I open this knob, we're going to talk about what we bought, over the last few weeks, which for me doesn't feel like a lot until I'm like, actually, it's a decent amount. But I do have to give total props to Knob Creek on the adjustments to the wax. Knob Creek and Jim Beams, the distillery behind Knob, finally got it right with the wax. So big hats off to those guys getting a wax that doesn't shatter. Now, Brian, give us just a brief summary of maybe your highlights over the last 3-4 weeks. What whiskeys, did you pick up outside of that Four Roses 20, obviously? And did you get anything for Christmas? Hold on, be quiet 1 second. Bottle pop. Oh, that was just the wax. Here we go. Bottle pop. Nice. Okay, go for it.
Not bad. So Christmas got no whiskey related anything. So nothing of note there. The last couple of weeks were super eventful. There was an event for those who don't follow me on Instagram or anything. You didn't see any pictures or recap. I actually don't remember if I posted, but Heaven Hill had an event, their Holiday on the Hill event. It was a ticketed event, and you got they had a bunch hot cocoa bar and snacks and stuff, but they had a premium tasting where they tasted through the Old Fitz 8-year, so the spring release, the Old Fitz 11, which was the fall release, the new Parker's Heavy Char wheat whiskey, and tasting through Heaven Hill 27. And then you had the option of buying all 4 of the bottles. And that event was the night of the day that Four Roses released the 20-year. And so I was at work, and
you just didn't work that day.
I was at work that day, and I'm trying to remember what I had the kids because my wife had an appointment or something like that, out of state. I don't quite remember exactly what happened, but I had kids with me, but I didn't have car seats in the car. And even if I did, it's not like I could do anything about it. So I was at the office while all of my friends were camping out, scoring Four Roses. They released at both Cox's Creek, the bottling facility, and at the distillery. There was a lot of commotion at Lawrenceburg because their machine went down, so they couldn't scan IDs. So people were just going through the line doing this. Now, the line was a really long wait, but people were just still. So I was a little bummed. I was like, man, this would have been great. I'm a huge Four Roses fan. I'd really like this product, but got the kids and I'm working. It wasn't until the end of the day when we finished up mid-afternoon and I was about to head down to eat at Willett or the Heaven Hill event. And my buddy was like, dude, they still have them at Lawrenceburg. You should drive there. I'm like, man, Lawrenceburg is a 55-minute drive from me, going kind of eastish, out of the way, making a triangle really with Bardstown. And I'm like, I'm nervous because there was one time I went to Lawrenceburg for a bottle, and by the time I got there, they had sold out 2 minutes before I got there. And that's a long way to drive to miss. So knowing there's a long line and people have been there all day long, I was really nervous that I knew that they would close within 10 minutes of me arriving. But I went ahead and drove there. Anyway, I got there at 3:45. They closed at 4. And I was out the door at 3:55, still with a bottle in hand. And maybe it wasn't as limited as I thought. Maybe it was one of those things like anyone who comes today, they just get one, right? Like there's enough quantity that they're like, if someone arrives today, they get it. Come the next day, they you don't get it anymore. But I ended up making it. It was great. I mean, even to the point where like, why did I change the clothes in here? Maybe just go to the line again. I was like, no, I need to eat dinner at Will. So I went to the holiday. So that day I ended up getting all 4 of those bottles. I got the Heaven Hill 27. I got the Parker's Heavy Char. We got the Whole Foods 8 over here. Since then, too, I think I got E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof this year. So there was a lot. It was a lot.
You just won bourbon over the holidays.
I went to Ohio for right before Christmas, which there's a tiny grocery store in my wife's hometown, and they get OWA. So I went there to get some OWAs, and that's been my last couple of weeks. Lots of pickups.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So down in Texas, I passed on a lot. I could have bought a lot of stuff, not at that level, granted. Rarely do I get access to the stuff that Brian can run around and grab with impunity. But the first thing I saw, the first liquor store I stopped in had this behind the counter, up behind the counter. It was visible. And I was like, yeah, I want that. Can I have it? They also had Knob 12 out on the shelf. Saw some 1792 12s. I actually did pick those up. I got 2 of them, but I didn't. I pinged the boys, and I said, does anybody want these? And so I gave them both for friend. They're on their way to the friend, Pony Express, at MSRP. So there's that. So I did a decent amount of buying initially. But then when I was in Amarillo, I saw all kinds of stuff. I saw Bardstown Ferrand, Bardstown Disco 6, got a Henry McKenna for my dad for Christmas. What else was there? There was FAE 02. I passed on a backup of that. So I could have bought cases of stuff, but I've really been just trying to like limit my buying to stuff I haven't had that I really want, or unicorn type things. And while I was gone here, there was another Four Roses, an OESO that dropped, that a friend picked up for me, as well as another Elijah Craig Barrel Proof pick. So I wanted to try it. Yeah. So I got those while I wasn't even here. And then my parents got me Heaven Hill 7 bottled and bond. I did try this with my dad, but I will likely pop this and taste it alongside the old Heaven Hill white label bottled and bond soon. Maybe soon. Depends on what other videos strike my fancy. And then, well, my parents got me another Russell's Reserve Store pick as well. So, I came back with 3 bottles, the Knob, the Heaven Hill, and the Russell's, stuff that's kind of right up my alley. And then, a couple bottles waiting for me back home. I'm good to go. That's all I needed. And feeling good. I mean, 2021, while I didn't get really anything in the fall after Russell's 13, no Four Roses, no BTAC, nothing super limited, no Old Fitz type stuff. I'm really flush with some pretty amazing whiskeys. And because I like to drink the bottles I have open, like pretty much gone. yeah, I'm set for a while. I'm not really concerned. That said, while you just ran through your really the perfect day in bourbon, I think what you articulated in terms of your Heaven Hill and Four Roses pickups was the perfect day in bourbon. I did get a little jealous still. I couldn't help it. But yeah, I mean, how can you not be? Like, I do think if you were to define what would, yeah, I just can't imagine a better day. Was it as good as it sounded? Like, did you extract joy from those moments?
Oh yeah, I mean it was yeah, definitely. I definitely think that the like getting to Four Roses and then like having dinner by myself were better than the Heaven Hill thing. The Heaven Hill thing was nice because it was my first time going into the expansion of their area. They had a lot of tables of kind of these snacks, but like you didn't really interact with anybody. There weren't stations of like take a photo or like get to know this person who does something there or whatever. It's kind of like arrive, get fat on tons of sugar. We did have the tasting that we did was with their master distiller. I say that questionably because he said he's at the he's at the Bernheim distillery locally, not actually like at Heaven Hill. And I'm like, how do you do that if you're the master? But I guess they're so large that
I think they have two. Don't they kind of keep two master distillers on staff?
I honestly don't know.
Because there's Connor. Were you with Connor O'Driscoll? Okay, all right. He's kind of their front of face. He's
the guy who like
the marketable
Driscoll. That sounds like that's definitely a minister's name. But
he's Irish, isn't he? Like he speaks with an Irish accent.
Yeah, okay, then we're talking about the same guy. He was the one who did it. And he was great. He was very down to earth and very informative. So I did like that. I think the problem sometimes with going to some of those events is when you know so many people around you and you know that like they're there, they signed wives or whoever else, like that they don't quite care, and it taints the experience a bit. So I knew people who were there. It was fun. The whiskey was good. It was nice taste. Heaven Hill 27 again because I hadn't had it in a really long time. I was really thankful to try the Parker's Heritage. I actually didn't like it at the distillery like that night. I did not like it. And I was bummed because I built this hype up based on Fred Minnick's review, Dad's Drinking Bourbon, that it was supposed to be great. And so I went to the bar the next day that's near my house or near my work that I always go to, Evergreen. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. And I tried it again there and I liked it a lot more. It actually, a lot of the things were completely different. So I don't really know what set that up, but it was a very, it was interesting to learn more about Heaven Hill as a brand, because you know about my experience with Heaven Hill, going from not liking it all that much to appreciating a lot of their products. And then it was cool to hear them talk about all the different, like they have tons of warehouses. I think they said they have like 60 something rick houses, and they're all different sizes, and they purposely have different sizes so that they can make different products. They have really tall and thin ones. They've got really short, squatty ones. They've got like all these different things for the different warehouses for the things that they do, and how many products they put out under one umbrella. It was just nice to hear some of that. I've not been on a tour. I've not been on a pick, anything at the Heaven Hill campus. So it's the one distillery that I try a lot of things from, but don't know a lot of the facts from spending time on the campus. So that was nice to go through and taste with them. But I do think, Four Roses just has a soft place in my heart. So being a part of that, I thought about waiting in line to get Brent Elliott to sign the bottle, but the line would probably be longer than it was to get through the checkout. I feel like I see Brent fairly often at other events signing, and so I was like, oh no. Part of me was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, because a couple years ago when we went to this, my dad and I, to the small batch select release event, Al was there, and I brought my Al Young bottle to have him sign when I was there, and he was really appreciative of that. Him and his wife were just sitting there, and his wife was praising Al, while everyone else was having Brent sign the small batch selectables. And that was a good moment. I didn't get pictures with Al, and I have nothing really else about that, but they're just a good brand. They do good stuff for people. So it was a good day. Long-winded, but it was
cool.
A good day.
We got to figure out. So I'm planning on coming down, end of this month, early February, because my in-laws are going to be here, so I can steal away for a few days. We need to lock in dates and then see if there's anything going on down there while I'm there that we should hit up or do or whatever. Or maybe we should look first to see if there's anything, but probably not. At some point, we'll time it right. All right, let's talk about Knob here for a minute before we get into kind of an annual recap, what the highlights were of the year. When I first got into the nose on this, like the spicy, fresh fire oak is pronounced, and it's good. It's not. It's musty and it's funky, but it's not bad. It's not dank. I mean, it's dank, but it's not dank. It's not like mushroomy. It's not mossy. It's more like, you're grilling, man. It's grill smoke. If you're grilling with oak that has had bourbon in it, and then it's got something like a weird sweetness that was like black licorice kind of vibe, at least on the nose. And what is that? There's a savory element to it too, like barbecue sauce. Not as barbecue saucy as the Spaniard, whereas that one the oak kind of took over. This one is like really, really sweet oak with like fiery smoke on the nose. Yeah, plenty of sweetness. And then on the palate, has a danger of being dry, right? It's 15 years old, but it's just syrupy. Like, it is dense and rich and syrupy. And my first taste of it, I was like, wow, that's a lot of oak. But then as I've, after a couple sips of it, you get a little bit more acclimated to it. And then I'm just like absolutely loving it. As somebody who has a deep affection for a well-aged bourbon that's not overly drying, this just hits the mark. And I really love the 100 proof point. Like, could this be better at cast strength? Maybe. Honestly, don't know. Like, I love the 100 proof point because it can lend itself to viscosity and sweetness delivery to help balance out the oak, where it doesn't just finish high on black pepper, but you've got enough like butter, creamy, caramely, brown sugary goodness to keep the oak in check. It delivers. I'm really pleased with it. So, big fan. I know, people have been hit or miss on the Knob 15. They like the Knob 12 better. The Knob 12 is a little more classic Knob. This is hard to like recognize the beam. Not nutty at all. Like, I don't get much nut. And it's not too dissimilar from an Elijah Craig 18 kind of profile, just turned up. The proof point turned up, and it's probably a little bit more rich. I mean, some of that may be just a proof point, but it's pretty rich. So I would score it probably quite a bit above my open Elijah Craig 18 that I have, which I like. But anyway, I'll take a break. You've had the Knob 15, right, Brian?
Yeah, I had a lot of similarities to you. I know my video's frozen, but it'll come back on in a second. I've had a lot of similarities on flavor profile to what you described. I think that my biggest bummer, I feel like I don't usually get like this, but I think my biggest bummer is that the picks so long. We're in that 13 to like almost 16-year age at a price point. It just bothers me.
It was only about a year. It was only about a year they were like that. There were so many.
I feel like it had to be at least two. I feel like it had to be at least
I don't
two.
know about that.
Either way, I mean, but still, I mean, that's a huge markup to say we played this wrong and we should be charging twice as much. Like, that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
So I personally have a sour
counter offer. No, I understand that perspective. I think that they may have created the demand by those drops. They're like, hey, like let's set up a line with these tiered age statements.
True.
And so like let's release let's release some of these 15-year-old barrels and like people get a taste of them, and then that may make it easier to justify the price we're going to ask for, because they tried to do Knob Creek limited releases that sat on the shelf for a long time that were closer to this age statement. The 2001 was one of the vintages they dropped, and then there was some 25th anniversary, I think, that didn't move. But now their age stated releases are starting to move. Even the 12, which is more widely available, it doesn't sit. And then 12 cask moves. And then the 15, while it was a little slow last year, I didn't see any of it this year apart from the one I picked up in Texas. And honestly, after the profile, especially compared to some of the other products out there, I regret not buying it last year, because it's still cheaper than like a Sam Houston 15 or Calumet 15, or the Blue Run 14 was way more. So it's given the competition, it's still a value,
right?
Sure, it's not the $40 to $50 barrel pick value. Those were insane values. That was craziness.
Well, and now honestly, I mean, if we want to talk about values, the best, not all of them are there. One of the best values out, which honestly, maybe, I don't know if we could line up for one of these. Maybe we could try and line up for one of these. One of the best values right now would be if you can, from a store that has one, figure out how old their bullet picks are. Because now you've got bullet picks that are 11 years old. I feel like several of them are 11 years old. And they're also $60. 11 years old, $60. Not 15. I get it, not 15 years old, but come on, that's still in the territory of Russell's Reserve before Russell started being a lot of like 8.5, 9-year pick. 11 years is still solid. So
yeah, the two Russell's picks I have are closer to 10, like knocking on the door of 10.
Jason, what's your opinion? Cheers, Jason. What's your opinion? 10. You should highlight this. What's your opinion? 10, 12, or I love this question. Love this question. Always love this question.
Go. Freaking go. Okay, read it. Have fun.
Do what?
Read the question.
What was that music? Did you just hear music? Was that me? Maybe it was me. I touched my left earbud, which is right here, and all of a sudden I heard music in this ear.
I'm getting some floral.
They'll tell you how old they are. The only pick I have is 7. Got it. If I send them a message, will they tell me I could do a pick there? Because I'd like to bring Drew in so we could do a bullet pick.
That'd be fun. Anyway, Jason,
let's go back. You wanted me to jump into the question. So I personally, I'm usually fine at 10 years old, but my personal palate would lean towards 12 or older. I heard a lot of people, I think it might be the Russells talk about the sweet spot being 8 to 10 years old.
Yeah, especially Jimmy.
I still, it's weird because, I imagine they have a different perspective. When I think about bourbon, not working in bourbon, I feel like the barrel is a really big part of it. You char it, you pull all the color and sugars and sweetness out of it. But I feel like what I hear them say, this was a recent question. It might have even happened in that Heaven Hill thing. They brought up a question about age 2. And I think they were saying something about, bourbon really makes its peak around the 8-10 year mark. Because after that, then it starts to pick up all these characteristics of the barrel and the age and the oak and its wood taking over. And so to me, I think of that and I'm like, well, wouldn't you want that? Like, that's part of the experience. To them, they're probably like, no, the experience is the juice. I'm like, well, but you've already said a majority of what comes into the juice is from the barrel. That's weird. So all palates are different. I know a lot of people who love these 6-year MGP products, Remus, like the George Remus, excuse me, the OKIs, the Younger Willet. They like this kind of hot cinnamon candy, spice, and onset of sugar browning sweetness that comes at like 4 to 6. Around 8, you start getting a little bit more complexity, I feel like, to sweetness, and a touch of oak will come in there more. Definitely still present in the younger ages, but it comes out more. 10 years, kind of a good balance. Still leans a little more grainy to me. It wasn't until I tried the Lux Road Double Barrel that I was like, dude, 12 years is awesome. Because the Lux Road Double that came out last year, it's their marriages of 2 different barrels, I think. And it's 12-year Heaven Hill. And that stuff is amazing. Great oak, but really sweet and flavorful. It's a good marriage of flavor. My particular palate does like older stuff than that. However, there are some things of which the flavor does get a little beyond. And I would say more often than not, I don't find bottles that have that note in there, but it's the ones that do have that note in there that I imagine why people say, once it gets past this, you're playing with fire.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had anything outside of a double barrel product, not double barrel like 2 barrels, but like double oaked product that I felt was over oaked. Like the Elijah Craig 18 single barrel I have is nice. And then I've had, well, I take it back. There was one Knob Creek 15-year pick that was really cedary, like really dry, and that may have been over oaked. So maybe one. Everything else I've had, north of 10 years, generally, I've liked. I haven't had something from a reputable brand aged over 10 years that I thought like, no, this would have been better younger. More often than not, I'm saying this needs 2 more years, 3 more years to continue to pick up sweetness and age off some of the harsher taste components that are present in young distillate. Like that.
Yeah.
There's a reason you don't drink whiskey off the still. Certainly there's varying qualities of new make spirit, but bottom line is you don't want to drink it. As you said, what's instrumental is the aging process, and certainly it can go too far. It just doesn't go too far often. Like, because there's a decent amount of evaporation too. Like, there's not much financial incentive for these brands to age whiskey past 8 years, beyond the fact that it tastes better, because they're just not getting much bourbon out of that to then be able to sell. Like, there's a reason you have to sell high-aged American whiskey at such a premium.
Yeah, he had told me the barrels they had pulled out for Heaven Hill 27, they discarded 2/3 of them because they were awful. But 1/3 of them they thought was a good representation of what something could be at that age. I will also say Heaven Hill does char 3 for the most part. I think that this is probably not all conclusive. For the most part, does char 3 on the barrels, so it's a little lighter char than what Andrew Beck is putting in the chat. MGP Buffalo Trace, fairly certain char 4 level barrels, and can get a little further. I would have to think more about why it's getting to the oak sooner in a char 3 barrel, because there's not as much char to get through. I don't. Someone smarter than me would have to tell me that.
I would think. Yeah, well, we do need to move on for topic wise, but I got to get some water, go to the bathroom, and then we're gonna hit real quickly just some highlights you felt like of the year for you in terms of whiskeys and experiences. We'll do that in just a second. In the meantime, feel free to talk. You can keep talking about barrel char until I get back.
Yeah, I don't really have much I want to keep saying about barrel char, so I probably won't talk about barrel char. I would talk about age, though, and I know Drew probably should be here for this, but, one of the... I didn't realize you owned not a hat. I know, right? I was just talking to Drew about this before the show. My youngest son, he had taken my hat off my head, and he's like, Daddy, you don't look like Daddy if you're not wearing a hat. And he put my hat back on. And he's like, Now you look like daddy. This is what daddy looks like. And I hadn't realized, I mean, I always like wearing hats, but I didn't realize it had gotten so iconic that, you know, people at work, they're like, did you get a haircut? No, I'm just not wearing a hat today. Or that my kids are like, I don't recognize you without a hat because you're always in a hat. But now it has become this iconic thing of wearing a hat. But yes, I got busy. I didn't put a hat on today. I want to talk about Remus 5 because Remus 5 is one of those things that has a profile that that I just have a bit of trouble with. Maybe I need to try it more because I know a lot of people really like it. But to me, I don't want to say it's over oaked necessarily. It just has this. Miss you too, man. We got to do a hangout sometime soon. I mean, I don't know about Drew. I mean, maybe when Drew comes down, but you're just so close. We got to do something. I thought Remus 5 was hard for me to drink. It was hard in a similar way to older tannic whiskeys. And it was similar to the FAEO2, where it was these dry fruits. It was, man, that's good to hear. I know a lot of people who really jive it. I had a sample of it, and I don't even remember if I have any more of it. I probably went through it all. Tom gave me a sample. Thanks, Tom. He's on the channel, but he was asking if I wanted to. He had a bottle if I wanted to get it off of him, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it because there were flavors about it that were just a little sour. There were flavors that were just kind of drying on the palate, and I don't know. But on the topic of like age of whiskey, I feel like I wanted to talk about Remus 5. I want to hear what you guys think about Remus 5. You know, I mainly want to hear there are more people who don't like Remus 5, but I want to hear what your all's thoughts are on Remus 5. And I say that too because there were some flavors about it that remind me of the Russell's 13. And when I was drinking, this is the one thing I didn't say earlier when Drew asked about this Four Roses 20 year. It definitely tastes like a Four Roses, but there is some similarities to the Russell's 13 in that pour. And I went and tried I didn't do it on the video, but I went and tried the Russell's 13 afterwards. And I feel like the Four Roses 20 year was a slightly richer flavor profile of that. But then that begs the question, not really on the retail side of things, but on the secondary side of things, how much more enjoyable is this now unattainable Four Roses 20 year compared to Russell's 13? Which brings up a similar question when introducing Remus 5. Remus 5 to me is you know, steps below those pours as well, but you know, in retail, similar, but available pricing, even if you didn't find it in a store and you had to buy it online from somewhere, is way better than those other products. And so this is the thing that I keep trying to wrestle with and keep coming back around to, but still for my particular palate, there is something unbalanced and missing from it. I have not tried
I think
the
you need
disco
to
stick
go
yet,
back
Kyle.
to it. Yeah. When I see you in January, I can bring some Remus 5 down.
Here's what I want to do. I want to do a blind of Remus 5, Russell's 13, the Russell's Reserve 2003, the 16-year one, the Four Roses 20. I want to do there's a similar flavor pocket here to these, and I want to try that and see how they taste in a blind when I don't know specifically what the bottle is.
I mean, the proof variance, what I will say from my tasting experience is while I think Remus 5 is very, very good, Russell's 13 was exceptional. So good. So,
well, I think you were coming back just as I was saying it, but I forgot to mention it here, and I didn't mention it in my video either. But I feel like if you like Russell's 13, then Four Roses 20 is like the next evolution of the flavor profile in Wrestles 13.
Interesting.
Is
That
your
sounds
brother
really
fun. Wentworth Pond?
No,
Oh,
Austin. He goes by Big Dumb Beer Geek on Instagram.
gotcha. Well, someone related to you named Wentworth. He has pooped and he thinks that we're super boring. So there's that.
Okay, good for him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine. We may be. Perry, what's up, man? Yeah, we should get together. That would be awesome. I would enjoy that. Let's plan on it and figure it out. I will try and lock down some dates soon in conjunction with Brian so we can line it up, make it work.
I know we're behind your
Everything on
schedule.
the
Can I pitch to Nation the concept that I messaged you this morning just to see if they think it would be interesting?
Yeah, that's fine. We can go late if we need to.
We'll flesh it out another time. Never mind. We'll keep it canned.
No, that's fine.
No, we'll keep it canned.
It was a good idea. We should talk about it at some point. All right, let's get into highlights then from the year. So 2021, that the launch of our deal, Entry Proof, and these streams, our barrel picks, Patreon community, Neat Nathan. It's really the advent of our work in whiskey. It's been a lot of fun, and we got to do some cool things, taste a lot of things. I've never seen somebody crank through as much whiskey as you have. And I went through 100 different craft whiskeys this year. Like, I tasted a ton. And I feel like the amount of individual whiskeys I tasted still probably paled in comparison to yours. So
I don't know, but I've not kept track.
Yeah, I didn't keep track either. I probably should. Like, it'd be fun to catalog and score and like go back and be like, oh yeah, that one was really, really fun and amazing. Granted, it's all here probably on YouTube, but that would be tough to go back, and that's a lot of hours of whiskey to rewatch.
Right.
But what were some of the highlights for you?
Man, it's tricky because I do want to do a video. I told myself that I wouldn't do like best of kind of videos because, for the same reason, like when I mentioned early on in Entry Proof when we talked about Matt, I thought it was interesting that Matt's videos in years past like weren't necessarily all these allocated products, and he was like, well, what's that going to do? It's just telling people that's good. What's it going to do? They can't find that. But at the same time, I'm like, but like I see that side of it, but I would feel like as a whiskey drinker, if you have access to it, you want to list out what was good and what was bad. It's for your own personal growth as well. But either way, I living in Kentucky do get to try a lot of things from bars. Even I try a lot of things. I take notes of a lot of things, and I just haven't figured out a good way of saying like, oh yeah, all these super expensive or hard to find ones, they're all the best. I don't like that. So I wanted to take some thoughts on the year, and I don't know how much I want to say tonight because I don't want people to be like, oh, I already heard all this stuff already. I'm not gonna watch it.
Don't need to watch a video now.
But
they're watching the video.
I will say the one thing I wish I could go back to that I've heard literally nobody else talk about was the Rabbit Hole Mizunara finish. Because when I got a sample of the
I've heard other people diss that one. They don't like it.
Incredibly expensive, like priced way out of availability. But my buddy gave me a sample of it, and I did a video of it, and it wasn't, from what I recall from my sample, it was scrumptious. And I wish I had more to go back to it because at that point I was like, I don't even know, like it's so complex and I don't know. And it's one of those things that makes you wonder, like, was it really that good though? And if you can't go back to it, you don't actually know. So I could never really say anything about that because, that I will say, I will give this one bit of information that will come out of my video. This was a year, though, where a lot of the unicorn allocated chaser bottles of the year, I felt like I was disappointed with more of them than I was excited for them when they released. So it was definitely a year that had me, be like, don't always say just because it has unicorn status, it's worth chasing. There were several things that I was like, this is a bummer this year. So, and like continual personally, my opinion personally, continued disappointment from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. I will say that, you know, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof for me was awful this year. You know what was really good from Buffalo?
I'll buy that off you if you.
You know what was really good from Buffalo Trace Distillery this year, though?
You did say Stag 16. You said Stag 16.
Weller 12. Weller 12 was really good.
Not the one I popped the other day.
I would, man. I don't. And again, that's what sucks is it probably comes out more than once a year. But the Weller 12 that I had at the bar, 2021 release, I was like, man, I wish I could find a Weller 12. This is great. I wish I live in Texas. This is fantastic.
It's not everywhere in Texas. You got lucky, but
yeah, it feels like it. Well, but again, yes, on that point, I did have probably one of my favorite Stag Juniors this year, for sure. I did think some of the newer Stag Junior releases were good. I still would like to try Barrel 12. I don't think I have. I'd like to try that because everyone says it's good. But the release, Cox's, again, here in Louisville, released a store pick of it, and it was different than any Stag Junior I'd ever had. I loved it. It was great. I tried it again the other night when me and my buddy had a tasting. We did our flight of the Let's Crick, but yeah, that's just like a little takeaway.
Any experiences for you that stood out this year that you were like, man, that was cool, and I'm glad I got to do that, see that, drink.
I mean, doing our picks were really fun, man. I thought having Kyle, when Kyle came up too, and we got to do picks, that was really cool. Little combination of all of us talking about stuff, and continuing out with the Airbnb and recording some episodes and stuff. It's a big fan of that. Yeah. Let me try and go back through other experiences. I mean, again, it's tricky. I get to do a lot here in Louisville. You know, the releases at Starlight for the cigar batch. That was a really fun night. It was fun to go and drink blackberry bourbon slushies and smoke a cigar with a pour. Listening to, I don't know, country music probably. I don't remember. That was fun. That was a good experience. Almost got a pour of the Cox when I was there Monday. Man, yeah, you should have. I never got a bottle of it. I was super shocked, not to sound privileged, but I was super shocked that I didn't have access to one of those bottles. Is one of those things I was surprised I missed. I loved chasing the OESV run of Four Roses that I got
you
really
went
deep
hard
into.
on that run.
There's a run of Four Roses, man, and it was super fun. It was super fun. I will tell you what I'm after right now. This is not an experience that I have had yet, but I'm going to talk about it. As you all know, or if you don't know, I'll go into it. A little personal stuff. My dad's health is not good. He has terminal cancer. We know that. He's had continued chemotherapy and radiation and all this stuff. And in the week of Christmas, the doctor sat him back down and showed him his new biopsies and stuff. And was like, okay, just for you to, realize, you will die from this cancer. Like it, that's that. And Dad's like, okay, I get it. And, I was talking about how long he had left. And then my mom, I've been trying to help them when I can with stuff, hook up a new TV, put up their sound bar or whatever. He still asks for bourbon, even though he's not drinking right now. I think that's the thing that bums me out. I can't continue to enjoy life drinking with him. He was into whiskey, even though he's not fancy. He just likes it. He has stuff in his collection, even though it's not cool bottles. That's what he likes to do. And I'd like to drink with him, but I don't get those opportunities anymore. But when I was over there, my mom was saying something like, oh, Dad decided, when chemo stops working for his body or when it becomes too much for him to bear and he decides to stop it, he's going to start drinking some of his nice stuff with people, again. And that's the first time I had heard that. But Dad doesn't have a lot of super nice stuff. We did get him a couple years back an old Rip Van Winkle, but I do think that he knows it's not Pappy, right? Pappies are the whatever. And so
course.
that's fun. But now it's one of my goals is like I kind of want to get a Pappy 15 if I can, so that I have it ready when that day comes, so that we can have that. So that's not a 2021 thing. It's pretty heavy, but it's something that in 2021 I know that I have to be ready for. And so it's kind of got me planning for that. So I think that will be meaningful, but it has me remember a lot of things fondly. I think that's another thing that has me tied to Four Roses. Even though Dad doesn't particularly care about Four Roses, I always invited him to the Four Roses things that I did and went to, the events that I went to. And so it's an important brand for me for reasons like that. And I personally, watching your video where you did your bar tour, you have a lot of stories of a whole lot of things. And I think I would have a fair amount of those. But, because of having access to whiskey a lot, sometimes I don't, or I don't feel like I do. But, the other day when somebody had said, "Oh, well, I want to hear, Brian's," I went downstairs just to kind of like see what I say, what would I do? And I do have some of those, but, that's just another one of those. Four Roses and things like that are definitely things that do have special places for me. So anyway,
nice.
Going after the OESVs was a majority of my year. And I got more Four Roses picked than anything this year. And I'm super glad about that.
Nice.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, well, I definitely can't top the sentiment.
There's no topic. There's no topic.
No. Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't
ever want to pull.
I feel like we should just be done now.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't ever want to talk about stuff like that and it be like the Trump card or whatever.
No.
But I have to, people talk to us day in and day, or week after week. So yeah, I kind of have to go into some of that stuff. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, for me, the 2021 was the year of my first barrel pick experience, which was ours at Starlight, which was so fun. To get together with people and just taste through a bunch of different whiskeys and let your palate kind of grow and expand in that way. And, doing 3 different barrel pick experiences where we took 2 barrels out of Starlight, 1 from Middle West. Lord knows when that's gonna
one year we'll get that.
Yeah, at some point we'll get that, which I really want that bottle, that barrel. And then so far 2 from Dancing Goat, and we still have that rye that's toasting currently, which we can accept or reject as it goes along. But it tastes good already, and just hoping it picks up a little bit more oak. But anyway, those that process of meeting the creator, tasting their stuff with them, and try and dial into a great barrel and then deliver that to people and get their thoughts on it, hopefully deliver whiskey that they think is great, was just tons of fun and not something that I thought when I started the channel that we'd get to do, next year, to the extent which we did it. And 2022 is really like, wow, we've proven that we can move barrels like that folks trust us to pick some good stuff. So, hopefully the opportunities kind of rise to try some new stuff. And so I really look forward to seeing, where we pick from. Like, we don't have a pick agenda lined up for 2022. We need to get that in order. As you said, we got to figure out, we talked about, New Riff potentially when I'm down there in January being our first 2022 pick. That would be a lot of fun. There's one still distillery in Wisconsin we haven't hit that does good stuff, and in Driftless Glen, TBD on all that. But the picks were awesome. But one amazing thing is, Kyle's on here, and didn't know Kyle at all a year ago. The Bourbon Junkies stream I did was how I first sort of met him, and then, then we connected, and we have so much in common. He's such a swell dude. Of course, Tom, OG on the wrench. What an amazing guy. Fun to get to know him too and do the pick at Middle West with him. Eric, Swing Nation. Eric and I played golf like 5 times this year, and I went to his birthday party. Like, good friends. Matt Pletz, lives north of me too. We text all the time. So it's like these really good friends that I all of a sudden have that I didn't have before. That's really, really, really cool. And you and I weren't even friends. Like, we knew each other, but we didn't have anything that like we did. And, we just both did bourbon and needed people who did bourbon. And so that's, what we started doing. And, we'll talk about goals in a sec briefly, but that's just super cool, to have grown the whiskey collection. Fine, great. A lot of good whiskeys. The 100 craft whiskeys was a goal I set at the start, which seemed crazy, and it was a little bit, but it was awesome. And Nation really rallied around that and sent me so much whiskey to taste, and I've tried so many things. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of good whiskey tasting things, but meeting some swell people, and adding friends. I mean, it feels cliche, right? Because people talk about that being the most important thing in bourbon. It's not the bourbon, it's who you share it with. Okay. But it's kind of true. So right. I'm not a very sentimental person. Like I am, like I care about people a lot, but I'm not sentimental toward things, and I get uncomfortable if people try and make something feel sentimental unnecessarily. So don't try to be sentimental. Not that you were, not that anybody is, not that anybody's being sentimental here, but that is the coolest thing, is that, at the end of the day, even if the channel goes off, like if we don't make any more videos, we don't do any more podcasts, we don't do any more picks, we don't leave empty-handed in terms of like the friendships, relationships. So that's pretty great. Michael makes a good point. He says, I don't know Kyle yet, which is probably true. Michael probably knows Kyle. Eric, thanks for this contribution. So far, somebody else, Michael Flores, threw you 10. Eric threw you 10. So we got $20 for the Pappy 15 fund. We got the earbud fund. I didn't get Apple earbuds, but raised enough for earbuds that work. Pappy 15 is going to be a little bit more than my $50 earbud. So I got to say that it's going to be a process. Goals. We need to pod better and more regularly, which you and I both talked about, and you're probably a bigger advocate for, but we got to figure out a system to help us do the podcast, maybe alongside of this.
Bringing in the chat a little bit to this, one of the questions that I have when Drew and I talk privately is, when we first started talking, he was wanting to bring up the podcast to span into a different avenue to where we were. And honestly, I didn't think that the Thursday night and the streams was even a thing. It wasn't until he's like, hey, do you want to do the stream with me? And then like, oh, by the way, this is a new forever thing on Thursdays. And
we just kind of happened.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. My camera did the thing again. It's okay. I'm gonna turn it off. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I love having the stream, and I love having the podcast. I think that where the trickiness comes into play, what Drew will always say, this is not our primary thing. And when he and I first talked, he was mentioning something too, like the goal he had for the podcast was not something that it's not something that's out there. And I was kind of naive because I didn't listen to a whole lot of whiskey podcasts, and I still don't. But I see a bunch more now. I think COVID brought out a whole lot more people when it comes to YouTube and when it comes to podcast. And so, and it wasn't until an off conversation with like the Bourbon Pursuit guys where they're like, yeah, we don't like to bring guests on if they're going around asking all these different podcasts to be on, because that doesn't differentiate them from being on our podcast. I was like, oh yeah, that's smart. And so again, kind of bringing you into one of the conversation points is I'm still kind of curious if Entry Proof had enough time or should have enough time to be a medium in the podcast world, or is our niche doing the videos, doing barrel picks, tuning in more with Patreon community, and doing these live streams, interacting more as a duo in YouTube? Because almost everyone who listened, if they listened to the podcast, they probably did, because they follow us here, or they interact with us here. But I love the interaction that we have on these channels. And maybe even if we're like, well, maybe we had to do 2 different night streams or something, would a movement like that be better than the time going the podcast? And I have other things up my sleeve nowadays that I could streamline the editing and stuff of the podcast. I think where I got concerned was I don't want to just bring the guests into here So you will see them here, and then we take it and we cut that audio for the podcast. I understand that means more people can see or hear the information, but I would want it to be something new. And so I'm still kind of like wrestling too to see like where is the audience, or where is our future for the audience, or where could the audience grow more? Where could we help people, whatever? Because again, I started doing videos only because I was this guy that Drew had on the channel. I'm like, I don't think people, they're like, who is this guy? He's just a guy. And so I'm like, well, I got to at least put out some videos. So there's something there if they were to look back. But the one thing that I don't like is I like tasting whiskey. I always take notes on chocolate, coffee, whiskey, whatever. I'm always taking notes of flavor. But what I love about Drew is doing stuff different, being more introspective, talking about his dad's claws, talking about his brother's claws, like kind of being conversational about a lot of stuff. And I don't have any of that because, even though I go vlog style, I'm not turning on the camera and being like, hey, tonight, you know what I wanted to talk about? I wanted to talk about how often do you flip your bottles over so that the cork gets wet? Like, I just don't think about those kind of episodes. So I don't. I just talk about reviews. But that is something interesting. What could we do better, and in what way for 2022 to continue to interact, bring good stuff along, all that.
Yeah, Nation, what do you want to see? Let us know. And really, you can throw it in the chat, but then we're going to lose it. So slide into our DMs, DM us both on Instagram at Drew P Whiskey, at Abandoned Bourbon, and let us know what you'd like to see from us in 2022. Obviously, you want dank bottles, but beyond that, what do you want to see? I've had several people reach out to me, and they've asked me to stop saying dank. I've tried to use it less in the videos.
Oh, no.
But I don't force it. It's just part of my vocabulary now. It's who I am. All right.
Yeah, I hate myself a little bit every time I say it.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Anything else? Anything else stand out to you from last year, or any immediate? We can maybe do a live stream in a couple weeks of or maybe in February. Like, what are our goals for the rest of the year? That'd be an interesting thing to talk through after we've actually done some more work on it. But I'd totally be armchairing it. Before we get into this blind, anything else in retrospect on 2021?
Yeah, I had I was watching a video from a group on here. I think they're Bourbon Kingdom or something like that, and they had Elijah Craig B521 in one of their worst whiskeys of the year, and I want to go on record.
Harsh.
So I want to go on record now. I feel like it's easy for me to admit and to say I don't think 2021 was a very good year for Elijah Craig barrel proofs. However, the other day I had to go over to a friend's house and we blinded them. And without any particular reserves or without any, anything, just tasting them objectively. One, I thought they had a lot of similarities to one another. And two, I was like, I wouldn't say no to any of these whiskeys. So all I want to say in that, for knowing a lot of people who like Elijah Craig barrel proofs and knowing that it's been kind of a down year, is that I feel like I'm simultaneously one of the people who would say it's not been that great of a year, but blind, without comparing it to other stuff, all the Elijah Craig this year's are all still great whiskeys.
Great whiskeys. Yeah.
And there's a lot of products I can't say that about. So
yeah, I mean, my case when I did the video on B521 was basically to say that, like, yeah, if I'm going to taste it next to C920, I don't like it as much as C920 because C920 is amazing and B520 is amazing. But it's really, really good. And so you can't just compare it to like these absolutely extraordinary versions of Elijah Craig barrel proof. I just poured a touch of A121 before we get into this blind to kind of hit.
Ooh, that's tricky, Terrence. That is tricky. Terrence, I will tell you this. I'll give you this little bit of a spoiler from my recap of the year. I, as a whole, don't feel like I had a lot of things that I said were amazing this year. So without having to do more thought, I don't know all my gatherings about 2020, but I will say that I do think 2021 was an okay year for whiskey releases on a whole. But there's a takeaway to that I will talk about when I do my recap video.
Nice. My thoughts on 2021 is 2021, as more and more craft whiskeys become more mature. Like, we're seeing the breadth in good whiskey out there. I would agree that the like earth-shattering whiskeys that I tried were not that many. I had a lot of good whiskey, a lot, and
Of good whiskey, you say?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I mean, so like good whiskeys. And so much of what's on the shelf behind me, like, and there's some sleepers too that you just don't think about. Like these Evan Williams Red Label 12 years. These are awesome, and they're just,
solid.
You can get them at the Bourbon Experience if you need to. And at the Russell's 2003, I got some of the Michter's stuff you can get at the Distillery, the 10s or the barrel strengths. Baumburgers, I have no problem getting like every year. Baumburgers is an awesome whiskey that kind of flies under the radar. It's not widely distributed, but it's not traded for buku bucks on the secondary market. And then Russell's picks, still, like, people are getting wise about Russell's picks as they have about Four Roses picks. But we've also seen Knob Creek come back with the age statements. That's been a lot of fun and great whiskey. So, like, 2021 showed me that I will always have something that I'm excited to buy, so I don't need to buy everything. And I feel like I've finally gotten there. Not that I was buying everything. My collection is modest compared to some, but it was important for me to stop feeling the incessant sense of FOMO, because that was kind of robbing joy.
Yeah, highlight Andrew Buck's comment, because that's pretty accurate. And that it is interesting with the craft whiskey stuff, like you're saying, like fairly soon in the next 5 years, it'll be a humongously different story, because we're going to see all types of stuff out there. But I feel like it's getting to the point, like, it's a weird where things are right now. It's weird. I feel like it's definitely a pay to play, and it seems as if the market itself is pricing people out. It almost seems like in order to get something that isn't just mediocre, you're gonna have to pay up, and that's I think there's gonna be fall off of people for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, there will be. I mean, I do see it kind of going like that, the way of Scotch, unfortunately, where the limited releases run you a bunch. Like, people who were into bourbon well before I was didn't know how good they had it, and they'll say that, where they could get world-class whiskey for $60. Like, those days are long gone. Sometimes we'll luck into it at 60. Most of the time, we're going to pay between $100 and $200 for it. I think between $100 and $200 is going to seem like a steal by the time this thing is done. So, all right, we gotta get after this tasting. Y'all,
okay.
Thanks
Well,
for
here's
hanging out with
the
us.
deal. I'm gonna pull up. Does StreamYard let you put on a timer? People have mentioned to us before we should have a timer. I want to pull up a timer. Maybe I can do it on my phone.
How we would do that?
Do it on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one on my phone too.
You tell me how long. You tell me how long you want. I'll make sure we have a timer this time.
Yeah,
and
that's
that
a good
will
idea.
keep us on track.
Okay.
Whether
so
it's
we have
2 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. It's at 5 minutes is plenty. It's 9:23. So if we go 5 minutes per whiskey, with like 5 minutes to discuss, maybe that's too much. 3 minutes per whiskey, 3 minutes to discuss.
We still didn't really say the Zach in here too. He was saying, he was asking 90, because I think he came in late. $95. Is that a good price for the Knob Creek 15?
Yeah, I think yes, it is. Like, oh yeah, I'm in on that. Yeah, 100%. That's less than
I had some leakies here.
Yeah, so did I. But he packaged them really well, so they just leaked out of the bottle. They're very full samples.
Definitely smells like an alcoholic in this bag, for sure.
All right, so I'm gonna dump, and
nothing
then
about you.
Ready,
it's just my fingertips now.
We can start the timer. Let me start my timer too, because I like this idea of the 3 minute limit.
Do we have the wait? Do we have the? We're doing the same things. Do we have the questions that we're going after? I got a notebook here.
Yeah. Here we go. So sample one is.
Wait, do I need to open that up and write on that paper then?
You do. You need to open up big baller questions.
Open up big baller questions.
Yeah. And we'll save the key until we're done. I think we'll taste all of them and open the key when
Done
we're
to
done.
the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
Let me know when you're ready. I'm ready to. I'm gonna start a timer that will go off.
Gosh,
so
do you have something? Is yours already poured in the glass?
Yep, it's poured. I haven't smelled it yet.
Oh my gosh, it's leaky all over the place. Okay. Paper open. You can still hear me, right? I put my mic off to the side.
Yeah, you're good. You're fine.
I'm gonna put this right here so I can get out of the way. Unique New York. Unique New York. Okay.
All right, you ready? I'm starting the timer of 3 minutes now.
We need some music.
Ooh, nice. This is gonna be fun. I mean, he did say big baller, so I'm assuming
there's gonna be some weird stuff. I thought we need some music. We still don't have music. Dang it, Drew. You're so close. Oh, start off with a bang.
Yeah. Really interesting profile.
Wow.
It's a roller coaster ride. This whiskey's a roller coaster ride.
The nose on this one, I want to take it to the back room for questioning.
We're 30 seconds in. Yeah, the nose is quite good.
How much time do we have again?
Wait a minute.
Wow, this is weird.
Yeah. Okay. 1 minute down. 2 minutes left. It's a really fun pour.
Yeah.
Dynamic. The nose is. I'll try and use nondescript words that aren't signals, but it's deep. Oh, Tom's in the house. What up, Tom? We're timing our tasting. We're doing 3 minutes per sample. We only have 2 minutes left 1 minute left on this first sample to try and speed things up because it was a rich show. I mean, a lot of content in here in this one. But this particular whiskey, speaking of rich show, rich nose, rich palate as well, very dynamic. A lot of flavor notes, a lot of nasal notes as well. Dang. I could just see this going multiple ways. All right, 12 seconds. If you haven't written
12
down.
12 seconds left?
Yeah, 8. I'm done.
This is the worst. This is the worst.
I'm going to tell you to put your pencil down.
I'm literally going back on my...
Okay. If you need 10 more seconds, you can.
Nope, I'm done. I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
I'm fine.
Okay, so sample one question was, is the proof over under 110? Is the age over under 12? Is it a bourbon or a rye? State of distillation, and guess the bottle. So why don't we zip through, then we'll go to whiskey number 2, but we'll save the answer for the end. So what did you think of that one, Brian? And I'm going to reset the timer for another 3 minutes for our discussion. Go.
I mean, it immediately tasted dusty to me. It tasted funky. Yeah. But you know, the more I taste it, the more it kind of changes too. I personally thought it had more flavor characteristic of a rye than a bourbon, and I thought it had more characteristic of a rye than a rye bourbon. I initially thought that it was under 110 proof and over 12 years. At the very end, I switched it to be over 110 proof in under 12 years.
That's what I've
Because
been too.
I've been thinking about this pour and I haven't tried it yet, but I don't think it actually gives us a distillation state, which makes me think that this has to be wrong though. But the thing that this makes me think about is, is this barrel seagrass? Because I keep seeing it pop up on people's lists, and I don't know what it's going to
I
taste
don't
like.
think it.
But
You
that's
have
a
30 more seconds.
finished rye. And so I was like, well, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's a finished rye. Although I will say, when I hit the palate first, I'm like, my goodness, that has so much going on. Did think it was a rye too. The nose, I couldn't tell it was a rye initially, but the palate was definitely. I think this is a rye. But I thought it was a Kentucky rye at first. I initially wrote Kentucky rye and moved to Indiana rye. I put under 12 years too because I can't think of a rye aged more than 12 years. That I mean, unless he's pulling out Rittenhouses, 21, 22, 23 Rittenhouse, which would be cool. I doubt that's what that is. So I'm thinking, based on trying to think one step ahead to the bottle, I'm thinking maybe one of the Redemption barrel proof rye releases. What bottle did
And now that you're saying that, though, it does have a pretty Kentucky flavor pocket. Like,
I know. Well, that's what I thought, but I couldn't pick a barrel. Like, I don't think it tastes like Michter's barrel strength rye.
It tastes
doesn't
like
have the candy
Chessman
ginger
mixed with Kentucky Owl rye is what it tastes like.
Oh, I didn't think of Kentucky Owl. Dang it. I don't know how I didn't think it. It's almost certainly Kentucky Owl. Oh, man. What did you write down?
But, I mean, I put seagrass. It tastes like Kentucky Owl, but it tastes finished. There's something about it that tastes off. It's got to be dusty, or it's got to be finished. There's something quirky about it.
He didn't put anything about finishing on there, though.
Nope.
Anyway, really interesting whiskey.
Yeah, super interesting. Thanks for that, Porkins. That's fun.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, sample 2, get ready. About 20 seconds here to prep. I better ditch that glass. Start with a new one. Okay, so that'd be a rye glass. I could use this one. A fairly general flavor pocket in there. Man, my little girl, my 9-month-old, is sick.
At first, I just thought it was a police car. Now I hear that it's a baby.
It's definitely a baby. We took her in to get just checked out. And, they gave her a listen, checked everything. So she doesn't seem to have any, bad infections, but she's got a bad cold. COVID was now negative on the COVID. So she's got a bad cold, and she's cranky. She's screaming right now. I don't know why. I mean, my wife may be reaching critical mass. I told her to reach out to me if she needed me, so we'll see. We've had more spam comments in this stream than any other stream we've ever done.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah. All right. Sample 2. Ready?
Yep.
My time may be numbered, but we'll see if we can get through them. 3 minutes. Well, I haven't poured it yet. Oh, crap. Okay. 3 minutes. Starts now.
Newspaper or something.
Another good nose. Different, but good.
Man.
So the questions here is the proof over under 110, age over under 12. Is this a wheated bourbon or a rye bourbon? And then state of distillation and bottler. Not gets the bottle, gets the bottler. Not distiller, bottler. Yep. That's how I feel. Is that what I'm doing? Are you just making fun of me?
No, I'm not making fun of you either.
Yep.
I was just doing that.
A minute 30. Tom, I haven't had a vasectomy yet. At-home vasectomy? I don't even know what's happening. In the
Doesn't take me by surprise. Doesn't take me by surprise.
I think I know the distiller, but the question of guess the bottler makes me think different. It makes me pivot a little bit. So I'm going to actually use that and I'm going to change what I was going to write. If you just asked me distiller, I would write one thing, but based on the question bottler, I changed my answer, and I'll explain why in 25 seconds.
Ugh. I feel like there's some new tech I need to understand. Have you ever heard of VARC tech?
No, I don't know what that is. That sounds made up. Pencils down. All right. All right, give us your run. Or actually, you went first. I'll go first. This one's lighter. Not nearly as flavorful as the other one. Not bad, but lighter. More floral, more in the Four Roses family. That said, kind of a dry, more like dry rosy, almost bitter finish. Proof, initially I thought was low, but the more I sat with this whiskey, the more I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's above 110. If it's older than 12 years, it's remarkably light in oak presence and richness. I do think it's a ride bourbon. I don't think there's any indication of wheat. I mean, floral and spicy. I don't think it's wheated. I do think it's a Kentucky product. I don't think it has any indication of Tennessee or Indiana, given the traditions of source whiskey from those. And given the Four Roses adjacency, I thought it was Bullet because he said bottler, not distiller. How about you?
Intriguing. Well, I mean, I thought it was pretty warm too. I said it was over 110. I thought it was under 12. I didn't get a lot of age to it. I could be told otherwise because it kind of tastes like it could be. It could taste like it could be a light whiskey ish. But I also said it was a ride bourbon. I went ahead and said when I hear state of distillation, I just assume that Indiana is a safe space. So I said Indiana, and I said the bottler was BBC. I think maybe it's a BBC product that I'm just not being able to recollect right now.
Okay. Cool. We're definitely so far we're in lockstep on proof, age, and product. Like, is it bourbon, ride bourbon?
And watch us be completely wrong on all of them too. We're going to be completely.
Yeah.
It's like going to precision tunes. Like I don't know that I want precise. I kind of want accuracy, but you're going to give me precision. You're going to hone in on the wrong problem, but maybe aim for accuracy.
Sure. All right, whiskey number 3, prep time. I will say, because it's very evident, this one looks different than the rest of
them. If you all didn't know, this live stream is sponsored by Tech, Viv Tech, Viv Tech, whatever it's called, Bart Tech.
What is happening?
I keep deleting it. It's whatever they keep saying every time they spam.
Oh, got it. Yeah, it's probably porn. It's a safe assumption. It's always porn.
If you guys didn't know, the Injury Proof live stream is sponsored by porn. Go get you some. Put your balls into it. What was the thing earlier?
No, if we're talking about balls, I'm out. Or if you guys keep talking about balls, I'm out.
Right.
Okay. That's
keep the balls out of this.
All right. Let me know when you're ready for whiskey 3.
I don't know if anyone's ready for anything anymore.
Here we go. And start.
Okay,
Whiskey
well, let me
3.
pour it. You son of a gun.
Oh,
this one's
oh,
light.
stop. What?
That's okay.
No, I
this
can
one looks
restart.
like sunscreen. I'm done. I've got it poured.
Okay, start. Okay.
Hope your in-laws don't have one of those earbuds in, Eric. Dank balls are totally fine, Andrew. Dank balls are totally fine. We'd like to thank the big pharma, big corp porn for supporting us in 2022.
No, we don't.
Drew's like, if you say that word one more time, I'm never gonna have you on here again. Sorry,
Say
guys.
diagnostically, we wouldn't want to praise it.
Anyone started to watch the Boba Fett yet?
No, I never finished Mandalorian.
The book of
I
Boba
want
Fett?
to.
Did you watch Hawkeye? I haven't watched Hawkeye.
No, I mean it's like they're just printing money over there. They're like, let's make a show about the character nobody cares about.
To be fair, I like it. I like all the shows.
This is a tough one. This is tough. Gotta like cleanse my mind space. 1 minute 30 left.
How much time you say is left? Doesn't matter.
The distillery and bottler is killing me here. Oh, never mind. Well, no. Yeah. This question of guess the distillery, guess the bottler too is confusing. There's a whiskey that this reminds me of. Crap.
Gosh dang it.
Yeah. I don't think it's that hot, though. Now I'm confused, but I got to answer. What am I going to do?
I like the timer, man. I like the timer.
I do, too. Pressure.
Makes it more fun. Yeah.
Okay.
I have no clue what this is.
I don't either, actually. I went on a tangent, but I don't feel confident in my answers. All right. It's your turn to walk us through it. That is timer. That's 3 minutes. So take us through your thinking.
Yeah. It drinks pretty hot, but I'm still gonna think that it's probably in the 110s, not 120.
Yeah. Agreed.
I am saying it's over 12 years. I think that if it's an American whiskey or a Scotch, it probably is.
I agree.
But because I feel like a lot of American whiskeys I've had have had a spice note, very prominent, very noticeable, that this one doesn't have. I think this could be a Scotch. Coming from somebody who doesn't drink them, it tastes like something I don't recall.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's from Aberlour.
Nice.
And just because it's the only cask strength Scotch I've ever had, I'm saying it's a Bunada. So, which it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't taste sherried in any way or anything like that. It's a little dry, but
the Aberlour Abunad Alba is like their single barrel Abunad, and it's a little bit lighter in color generally. So I did not think of Aberlour. I didn't think it was hot enough to be the Aberlour Abunad. The taste profile was very reminiscent of the Glenfiddich Bourbon Barrel Reserve. That said, you said it was hot, and I agree. I don't remember that whiskey being hot at all. And the distillery versus bottler question got me, but I just went with my gut, and I put Glenfiddich as the answer to both. but I think I'm wrong. But it kind of tastes that way. So
Yeah, it's kind of got that light kind of floral flip thing that Glenfiddich has, right?
yeah, Glenfiddich has a viscosity too. This very honey, like rich.
Which I honestly don't get a lot out of this, to be honest.
I get a very
I guess
bourbon-y.
more than regular.
In terms of Scotch, I don't get sherry. Sherry's out. I don't taste any sherry. I don't taste any cognac. I don't taste any port. Like all that stuff is out. Like no wine.
Oh, it's a tiny bit tawny. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Okay, I get a bourbon finished Scotch, and so one that plays on that is that Glenfiddich 14. So anyway,
okay.
But it's 100% hotter than that. I now know the bottler. I know it. It's I know it. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but it's probably Scotch malt whiskey.
Oh my gosh, Andrews!
And I don't know what
Andrews. I feel so stupid when Andrew comments.
Dude, I'll be thrilled. I will be thrilled to be surprised. I love being surprised.
He's gonna be like, "This is Buffalo Trace store pick."
Yeah, that would be cool. That would actually be really cool. But Buffalo Trace store picks aren't very.
It's about as light as a Buffalo Trace,
but hotter. All right, whiskey number 4. We're blowing through this tasting now. This is definitely the way to do it with the
block. This is Captain Morgan's.
I didn't start the timer yet. Well, here we go. Starting 3 minutes starts now. Go. So, is the proof over under 120? Is the age over under 18? Is it a whiskey? Yes or no? Guess the country of origin. Guess the spirit type. You're wrong about Captain.
I'm not wrong.
It's fine.
I'm probably wrong.
You're definitely wrong.
Man, I love this. Done answers.
Are you really?
Yeah, aren't you?
Close. I am leaning heavily. I'm only 1 minute in. I got time.
What?
I have time. I said we're only 1 minute in. I have time. All right. I'm done too. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's my turn. I'm going to start from the back. Start from the bottom.
Surely you also think this is a banana liqueur, right?
No, it's not a banana liqueur, but
it's a banana liqueur.
It's a good guess. It is a cognac or an Armagnac. 100%.
You mean a banana liqueur?
That's not what that is, but close. So I think it's Armagnac. The color is dark. It's a dark whiskey. Armagnac is made in France. That's a thing that they do. Is it a whiskey? No, because it's Armagnac. And the flavor, like if you've had cognac Armagnac, there's similarity there, and it's tough to distinguish the two. I actually can't. I'm guessing Armagnac because it's popular, and there are some barrel pick Armagnacs they have some traction among bourbon enthusiasts. That's why I'm leaning Armagnac. Is the age over under 18? Yeah, I'm guessing yes, given the color and given the fact that he sent it to us. The proof, it's not hot. If it's over 120, I will be floored because it's not hot at all. What are your thoughts?
What'd you say about age?
I said over. 18.
Yeah. I can see everything that you're saying. But this is a rum. This is a Jamaican rum. I'm just going out
just
there.
walk us through your thinking. Go ahead. I mean, which I may be very wrong.
No, so I mean, now that you're saying it, it does have that kind of like soured grape juice, like sweetness. I have no experience with cognacs or armagnacs. I have had one armagnac, so I get that. I get that kind of fruity note. But the first flavor I had was banana, and it was very fermented
I
to
get
me.
that. A very ripe, real banana.
And so
not
honestly,
like banana runs, but a real banana. I get that. I
so I just went for it. All in the head. I thought that it's over 120 proof. I thought that it's under 18 years, that it is not a whiskey because it is a Jamaican rum.
Okay.
But now that you're saying it, some maple, some of the like wrinkled fruits, like it's definitely you're probably right.
Well, let's start there. Let's start at 4. Oh, he actually packaged these individually for us, but we didn't know that.
It's tasty though.
It's fine. Let's start with number 4. Okay. Here's for the big reveal. You're beating me by 2. I think the score currently is 4-2 in terms of winning, or maybe 3.
I honestly don't keep track of anything, so I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So this is Through the Grapevine to Sendier Lot 95 Cognac, which I mean, like, do I even get a point for that? I don't even know. 110 proof, so it's under. So that's a point for Drew. 25 years, another point for Drew. French, which is a point for Drew. Not a whiskey, that's for both of us. And then I was technically wrong on the spirit type, but so this was selected by Sealbox, Bourbon Pursuit, Rarebird, and Mash and Drum, guided by Take. I remember when they did this. And
I remember the label for it is really fun. Tom, it's a Balls reference. Come on.
I would definitely recommend bourbon enthusiasts to check out Cognac/Armagnac because it's really interesting stuff and very sweet. Like the wrinkled fruits, as you said, which I love that note. That sweetness, I think, plays into what bourbon geeks love about bourbon. Let's just work our way up from there. Number 3. This is the one where we're like, we think it's a Scotch, and then we disagreed about the Scotch. We both had under 120, over 12 years. We think it's Scotch, TBD. And then Porkins said, well, you guys...
Another solid 0 points for me.
I was right about Scotch Malt Whiskey Society on the bottler on my second guess, which means I was wrong. But we're both wrong on pretty much everything. Rocking Chair Whiskey, 123.2 proof. Wrong. We're both wrong.
Porkins drinks the craziest stuff.
11-year-old corn whiskey, which makes sense now because it ain't spicy and it's aged in used barrels. Heaven Hill corn whiskey, 11-year-old, basically cask strength mellow corn. So we get nothing, right? But I think you can see how we got there, and it was bottled by Scotch people, so that makes sense. Really interesting pour. Really interesting pour. So Porkins, dude, this was a blind for the ages. I mean, I challenge anybody, and I encourage people to put together a more interesting blind. That was great. So 0s across the board on that. Really, that's probably one of the more off the wall bottling that I've tasted. I did see it when Scotch Malt Whiskey Society released that though, and I'm like, not really. But yeah, I mean, kind of okay. All right, sample number 2. We both said over 110 proof, under 12-year-old, a rye bourbon. I said Kentucky, you said Indiana. I said Bullet, you said Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Yep.
This is Doc Swinson's Exploratory Cask 9, which is probably finished. It is over 110 proof at 113.8 proof. So you and me both get that. It's 15 years old, so you and me both get that.
No, we
It
both said
is-
under.
Oh yeah, never mind. I don't know what we're thinking.
Neither of us get it.
So is Porkins?
We just don't know if it's a weeded bourbon or a rye bourbon.
Is a we? We know it's exploratory cask. Is it weeded or rye? We'll wait for you to answer.
It should exploratory.
Porkins, I don't think I get. Could I get credit? It's Kentucky Beam, so that would be ride, and not finished. Got it. Okay, so we both get a point for ride. Then I get a point for Kentucky, and then neither one of us gets a point for the bottler. That was good.
I got 2 points. I got 2 points this whole test.
I mean that one I liked. Like I said, the drying finish I didn't dig, but I thought it was more Four Roses. So the fact that you say Beam is crazy to me. Like that does not taste like Beam, and I look forward to revisiting that. I quite frankly, I look forward to revisiting all of these.
Oh wait.
Number 2 at this point.
Oh, got it. The nose makes sense now.
Well, I'll have to revisit it later, but we're almost to 10 o'clock, and hell has broken loose. It has subsided, but it's also broken loose, so I need to make sure that my wife, who I adore, is okay.
Son of a gun.
Keep it together for a minute. 7-3 is the score going into our analysis of sample 1. Here we go.
We answer the same way.
So sample 1, we both said over 110 proof, under 12. We thought it was a rye. I said Indiana. What did you say? Oh, you thought Barrel Seagrass. And I thought Redemption Barrel Proof Rye. And then we said maybe it's Kentucky Owl. Well, lo and behold, it is Kentucky Owl. Yep. It is over 110 proof. It is 10 years, so under 12, and it's Kentucky Rye. So we both got 3 points there, and basically crap the bet on what it is. Kentucky Owl was staring us in the face. I don't know how we didn't
wait, what's the score? I could have tied it if I only would have said what I said my guess was. Right?
Well, I changed my guess after, like, as we discussed it. I'm like, it's Kentucky Owl. I know that. Like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, but if I would have just put
that, you wouldn't have tied it. Oh, because you get bonus points. I forgot about that. Yeah, actually, I got 2 points for France, so actually it's 8-3.
Oh, then I wouldn't have tied.
No, because then I got 2 points for Kentucky, so it's 9-3. I have not been adding correctly. But you could have gotten 5
Kentucky Owl Rye is good. I can't say anything else about any of the other Kentucky stuff. Some of their bourbons have been good. They're really high priced.
Yeah,
confiscated, like not good. Don't go after it. But
yeah, so I've tasted now 2 Kentucky Owl Ryes, batch 1 and batch 3. As of right now, I had batch 3, and I loved both of them. So, batch 4 was the most highly priced. It was the last one that Dixon Deadman was a part of. Any forthcoming Kentucky Owl releases, he has been pinched off. It's no longer a deal that they do. But batch 1 was great, and I can confirm batch 3 is also great. Which when I left Wisconsin, there's still some batch 3 sitting on a shelf somewhere that I won't tell anybody because I may just go buy it now.
I love Kentucky Owl batch 1 rye. I've loved it for a very long time. Whenever batch 2 came out, I also really liked 2, but I gave the preference to 1. And then I blinded when 3 came out. I blinded 1 and 3 because 3 was 10 years. And we're like, what happened to the 11 years? Something else changed. I forgot what it was. Maybe the bottle design, the bottle label, whatever changed. And so, people are like, look, in this 10-year, what is this crap they're getting now? Can it still be good? I blinded it with 1, and 3 ended up winning against 1 in the blind. So batch 1, 2, and 3 ryes are all very good products. I would venture to say that they're some of the best rye out there. I have more stuff to say, but I won't say it live. So,
I mean, you can.
No, that's fine.
Who's gonna hold you accountable?
Just saying I'm not gonna say it. Just saying I'm not saying. Just saying I'm not saying. That's all.
Got it. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we sign off? It's quiet upstairs now. I feel like I can get away with just sitting down here and pretending like I didn't hear anything.
I mean, we could. I mean, whatever, man. We talk about whatever. I mean, you keep me up so late all the time. But I took off work.
I know it's 11 o'clock
So
here. But did you really?
It's not a big deal.
Well,
not a big deal.
As far as New
I've been
Year's Eve,
drinking
it's
for
an
hours, so
hour.
I'm totally good.
Hours. I wanted to get another pass of this 15-year-old Beam product because I just can't believe that. That's crazy.
It has me curious where I placed batch. It has me curious where I placed batch. Hold on 1 second.
Wait, that's not what I wanted to do. So I don't want to. Oh yeah, no, that is what I want. So it's Doc Swinson's Beam. So is it Beam or 1792? Because I think the general consensus is this old Kentucky whiskey was 1792. What is your opinion, Brian?
Oh, I don't think it's Barton at all. I'm pretty sure the consensus is pretty much that it is Beam. But to be honest, I don't think about what it is all that often. I liked the toted stuff. I was a big fan of Doc Swinson's last year. That was like one of the things I went after.
I didn't get any of it, but I wanted it. Any old Kentucky bourbon, generally, I mean, it hits a point where 1792 tastes like Beam, tastes like Heaven Hill, right?
That's what I would say. It shows you that at that age, those things are, particular. Where's this? Okay, so here's what's interesting. On a blind that I did, I don't know when I did this, December 24th, 2020, so about a year ago, I did a blind of batch 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 9 came out to be my favorite. Followed by 6. No, of this Doc Swinson.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just lighter. I mean, compared to one was so good and rich and oaky and spicy and sweet. 2 coming off of that felt pretty mellowed out. Going back to it, like coming off the Armagnac, I get more. I'm able to perceive a little bit more. That said, it's good. I mean, it's really good. But yeah, I'd have to taste it up against some more comparable whiskeys. It's tough when you're blending a rye against a bourbon against a brandy or cognac or whatever.
It just shows my naivety. Like when the Doc Swinson stuff came out, I was like, you just don't find this kind of aged stuff at this. Oh, my camera again. I was like, you just don't find this kind of aged stuff at this price anymore. $150. Oh, that's so great. And now, not only do more people have this specific recipe of stuff, there's just a lot more stuff that is on the market of that. To be fair, though, Andrew, what is going on?
I don't know. We lost you.
That's so strange. Porkins, I want to know what your thoughts are of all of the toted stuff, because I see the confusion of that Sam Houston, Calumet, R. Barton. I like the Doc Swinson stuff more than the Sam Houston, than the Calumet, personally, I'd say. But it does have, that kind of, it's beamy. It's beamy to me.
Yeah, I don't get peanuts on this one. It's lighter than the Beam, the Knob 15 I had. Not quite as viscous and syrupy. Maybe a little bit more dynamic. Certainly a little hotter. And very good. But tastes nothing like that Knob 15 I popped earlier. Which is kind of cool. Same basic juice, but very different in profile. Here's a great question. We'll end the night on this. We'll spend 10 minutes or so talking about this, and then we're going to hang it up. what are our dream picks? Brian, if you could do a pick of any whiskey, what would it be?
Oh man. I mean, does this mean of people who are currently doing picks, or dream pick meaning like I can do a pick of
Let's say it's people who are
it?
doing picks. Like it's like there are picks out there that exist of this whiskey. What would the pinnacle be for you?
I would like to do a pick. This works for both. This works both ways.
Okay.
I would like to do a pick of older aged Willet. And then subsequently, I would probably say I'd like to do a pick of the old, like what they did for the bourbon benefit for the tornado victims. I'd be fine doing an old roses pick, but I think the Willet pick would probably be the better experience, honestly.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a better experience. It's, I almost would rule that out. Like I wouldn't even think, because of what that fetched in like a charity raffle. Like who's gonna pay that amount of money and then call me up and be like, "Hey Drew, we want you to go." That'd be sick. That'd be tight. It's not likely gonna happen. So like it's hard for me to think about this and not like bring what's realistic into it. That said, that would be amazing. The Willet experience. I love the Willet campus. The squad there is awesome. They just do a great job. The food is amazing. So I definitely have a soft spot for Willet. Well-aged Four Roses, or even any Four Roses. We've done craft whiskey picks, and I've loved them. So to do a Four Roses pick would be sick. I would love that. And then Stag Junior. Eagle Rare, fine. I mean, I think you get to taste those things at cast strength, but of course you have to water them down to really get a picture of what's going to be bottled. Whereas getting to taste really rad Buffalo Trace stuff out of the barrel, knowing it's going to be bottled at that proof, that's pretty awesome to me. So Willet, I don't think there's any realistic chance. There might be a half a chance of a Stag Junior or a Four Roses. Certainly, there's a realistic.
They are still doing those
sometime in my
picks,
bourbon career.
You just mean the reality that we could get one.
Correct. So it's like dream pick, sure. It'd probably be like a Stag Junior / a Willet. But if we literally got to pick anything out of Willet stocks, I would choose that. Because it's the ghost of Christmas past. There's a vibe around Willet. There's a mystique around Willet that doesn't exist in other places based on where did they source from? Where did they get this? What's the mash bill on this? Like, how old is
but
this?
go into what you mentioned earlier, though, in regards to Doc Swinson and stuff like that when it comes to Willet. Like, the thing I like about old Willet is that, or Willet in general, I don't think they're, and I could be wrong about this because we don't know. It's all a game with Willet, if you will. But I don't think there's another distillery out there with the portfolio of whiskey releases that encompass so much of bourbon flavor. I think maybe I've talked about this on a channel before, but there's speculation of, they've had MGP Rise, they've had Old Bernheim weeded bourbons.
Yeah.
They've got Heaven Hill. They've got their own juice. They've supposedly had some bean. Who knows some of the other stuff. I thought there was even some barrel rolls or a little bit of runs that were speculated for roses. I thought that there was a specific barrel that somebody told me a lot of big dogs said they thought was a cask strength weeded Buffalo Trace. So they have potentially all these whiskeys under their umbrella of releases that just encompass so many things. And when you get to whiskey that is that old, like you said, it just has the flavor of Kentucky whiskey really well. regardless of where it's sourced from. It's
Sure.
just what you want.
Kentucky whiskey, yeah. So we'll see. You know, I've been thrilled with what we've been able to bring to the market. The Starlight stuff was unique. That rye was dank, in a good way. The Dancing Goat stuff, you know, the Spaniard. There's nothing like the Spaniard. And spoiler alert, not really spoiler, but if you didn't get a bottle of the Spaniard and you wanted some, we took 150 barrels. Or 150 bottles. That's like, we know we can move that. We'll commit to that. There were somewhere in the range of 300 or so. And when it moved so quickly, Blake from Bourboner / Sealbox bought more. So it is actually available on Sealbox still because Blake wanted more. So it's still got our name on it. We moved our allocation. We did pick it. It's the same Spaniard. It's still available on Sealbox if you want it. So, and then, you know, 8-year MGP for $60. That is available right now to Patreon supporters. What we'll do is we'll let that ride through the weekend. And then next week on Brian's videos and my videos, we will release the link for the 8-year, what's left of it at the time. Maybe nothing, but we'll release it. So if you're a member of Nation and you want to pick up a bottle of 8-year MGP for $60 from Sealbox, from Dancing Goat, from us, you can do that. Just watch the videos next week and watch them when they debut. Monday at 11 is when my video will go live. Brian, what time do you release your videos?
I normally do mine on Tuesdays at 11 Eastern.
Okay, great. So mine is 11 Central, 12 Eastern, 11 Eastern. So that, anyway, that's how you get this 8-year MGP barrel, which the moniker just happened, like it kind of evolved. I wrote down a tasting note, suggestions of buttercream, and that became the moniker for this barrel. Coots is talking about it. He got 2 of the buttercream and another Spaniard today. That's what I'm talking about. Hope you all dig that stuff. Hope you all dig what we've laid down in the last year. Stay tuned. We're going to keep working to make it better. The goal is to have fun. When Brian and I first talked about what we're doing, I said, listen, I just want to have fun. The minute it's not fun, I want to stop doing it because I do enough work. And while certainly this is work, I want it to be fun work. And it's been awesome. It's been so much fun. And I'm looking forward to what we do in the next year. I really want to get together a assembly of Neat Nation. Whether that's at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in September, maybe earlier, we'll see. We'll talk about that, Brian and I, in this next month, so we can try and get something on the calendar because it would be great to get together with all of you, meet Porkins, meet Fred, meet William Wiley, Coots, and then get together with many others of you who we've met, you know, Kyle, Michael, of course, obviously, pick people, Matt Pletz, some of the Wisconsin crew, get them to connect with some of the Kentucky, Ohio crew. It'd just be great. Looking forward to all that. But TBD on timeline. But that's one of my goals for this year. Brian, any sentiments, thoughts, feelings, prayer requests you want to leave with the team?
I'm super thankful to the team for everything. I mean, again, you know, I didn't have a YouTube channel prior to this year until middle of this year, and I just started putting some reviews up. And you know, I actually didn't have a goal for that, but my buddy that I talk with a lot, who went on the Starlight pick with us, told me, he's like, I think you should, you know, it would be great if you got to 2,000 by the end of the year, and then you should have your goal to get to 10,000 by the end of next year. So he set the goal for me. So I didn't think much about it. I try not to push it. I barely ever talk about my page in other groups, but I did notice that on the eve of the last day of the year, I had almost met that goal. 1.94. Anyway, so I'm thankful that people are interested in hearing about random crap all the time. I'm thankful that Drew brought me in to this for us to talk about folks. I'm thankful for everyone who jumps in for 2 hours plus on Thursday nights to hear us talk and interact with us. You know, especially with COVID going on and without being able to get together as often with people, this has been great to have a group of people to get to do some drinking and some chatting with on a regular basis.
100%. Yeah, it's been awesome. And I've been, like I said, thrilled to get to know friends and to partner with Brian. Like, he's just a savant. Like, he's a dude of massive skill, and everybody he meets loves him. And so he was naturally the person I was like, you know what? I want to do something where I have a partner in this with. It's just the perfect of course I'm gonna reach out to Brian. If you guys are not following Brian, like he said, goal of 2000. So he's at 1940 right now. Eric, can you drop the link in here to Brian's channel right now? And if we have 54 people watching this, if half of you aren't subscribed to Brian, you need to go do that right now. And let's get Brian to 2000 by the end of this. Because I mean, like, in terms of reviews, if you want a detailed review on a whiskey, like, you're just not going to get a better detailed review. There's a lot of people doing reviews. It's dog crap. Like, it's the same notes over and over and over again, and it's boring. Like, and it's unfortunate. So you need to go check out Brian's channel for sure. And then if you
I still have time to
want
get boring,
review,
so it's fine.
yeah, of course. And if you want a particular review from Brian, you're open to suggestions. If somebody's like, "Hey, would you review this whiskey?" You're going to review it. Yeah.
Yep.
Hundo P, as they say. All right, squad. Terrence throws in another 10, so we're up to 30 in Brian's Pappy Fun. Pappy Fun, cheers all. Hope to get more involved with y'all in 2022. Just jump in the feed. Chat with us. DM us on Instagram. We respond to those things. Like, we appreciate people reaching out. Appreciate the kind words, the encouragement. Y'all, thank you so much for a great year. Really looking forward to 2022. It's been awesome. And yeah, send us your requests. Give us feedback. Get involved. Stay healthy. Stay safe.
And remember to keep it high noon and ball sucking. Bye.
Friggin' neat.
Friggin' neat.